Hi guys, gals, and non-binary pals, and welcome back to another video. So, if you haven't noticed, it is the last week of September. So, like normal, I'm going to be doing a drawing that kind of represents or is inspired by September. I've done plenty of these videos. They're all in a playlist you can find under my channel. So, once you finish this one, if you haven't seen all of them, go binge watch them or something. Also, so far, 100% of my viewers are subscribed. So, if you're not subscribed, what are you doing? Don't be that one person. And on with the video. So, this drawing took me so long to figure out an idea for, and I don't know exactly why. Maybe it's just because September is such like a boring month. There's nothing that really goes on. Like what, there's Labor Day in September? I think that might be August actually. I don't know. Point is, nothing's really going on. You're just going to school or work. Life's getting repetitive. No holidays to look forward to. September kinda sucks. It's just like the pre-October month. And that's all it's there for. And so I just kind of formulated my idea from that. September, in terms of school, is when you're like going to school, but you're at the point where school's actually like started, you know? You're doing school things. You're starting to have tests and projects and actually getting into assignments, and school's just getting kind of boring and repetitive, and it feels like you're just going through the days for the sake of getting through the days. And so that was my idea. I decided to represent that like boring, repetitive, just getting through life through a robot, because it just feels like you're, you know, going through the motions like a robot. And so I have a very depressed looking robot walking through a hall with lockers to try and represent school. And that's the idea. Compared to some of my other things, not much is going on, but it's simple. Like September, and it's a really depressing concept. The more I think about it, the more I'm like, oh, wow, God, that's really depressing. Like, am I okay? I work on these videos at this point like a month before they come out, so I drew this a while ago, before it was even September, I think. And like, was I okay? Now that it's actually here, it's not that bad. Like, sure, it's kind of hard. You gotta go through 8 periods. Yeah, it kind of sucks. But it's not, I'm not a robot. I don't feel that bad. Like, this drawing makes it look so much more dramatic and depressing than school actually is. And it doesn't help that I decided that the whole entire color palette was gonna be blue. Color of sadness. So, like, everything's either blue or like cool grays. I wanted it to add to that atmosphere of just being really depressing. So, okay, the main like focus of this drawing was the robot, obviously. And the robot was kinda a struggle. So originally when I sketched it out, it was like fairly 2D. Then after I started doing line art, I tried to like turn it 3D almost. But I also didn't want to be really perfect like the lockers. So I tried making like an imperfect 3D thing out of a 2D sketch. So my God, it was a struggle. I gave up on like doing 3D for the bits that connects the antenna to the actual head. A lot of things are just definitely not in the proper perspective. A lot of things are just not actually 3D, but I really tried. Doing perspective and making 3D things and making my drawings less flat is something I really want to work on, so I tried pushing myself to actually do that, especially with something that, you know, this robot was very blocky and square and rectangular and all that, so it would be the perfect thing to start working on since it's shapes that are really easy to be 3D. It's not like taking a human body and figuring out how to make that look less flat. So this is a good start to trying to improve on that. Also, when making the robot, I kind of tried to think about like how this robot would actually be constructed, like what needs to move on this, what parts are being held together and how. So you see that especially with like the body, not really the head too much. You know, for the arms, I really thought about like the joints and especially the legs. When I work on the legs, like the knee joints and what different parts would look like and how they'd be connected, I thought really long and hard about that. And I also really tried to get the angle on all those little different parts right on the legs. Kind of hard. I had to like redraw the legs a few times just because, you know, I made something that looked right and good, but it's just not the right angle. The feet were also a nightmare. My god, I always have trouble with feet. Feet are like one of my worst nightmares. Putting feet at different angles and perspectives, I've never understood how to do it. I've tried. I've looked up little, you know, references for how people draw their feet shapes. I've looked up feet tutorials. It's never gonna happen. I'm never gonna make good feet. I'm joking. I'm trying. I'm pushing myself to do it, and that's what matters. Hopefully I start improving someday. But I had to figure out how I wanted to shape this robot's feet and how to make it connect. I don't like what I ended up doing because I was having so much trouble that I kind of just made it like a hollow cylinder cut in half, and that was the foot. It looks really awkward. I guess it does functionally have the purpose of being able to move like really far. You could probably shove that foot like right against the leg, but I don't think any robot needs to do that. That's just not functionally necessary. But hey, this is the feet. This is what they looked like. I like the original shape I went with before I had to fix the angle, but I didn't know how to, you know, make that shape 3D and at a good angle. So this is what we're stuck with. It's not awful, it's just, I don't know, it could have been better. I also didn't end up making the robot walking. I just kind of made it standing there more because I was already having such a hard time with the angles and the feet. So, you know, I wasn't really feeling like going through the struggle of figuring out a whole new angle to work with, a much harder angle too. So I just kind of copy and pasted the other leg behind it. Then I worked on the robot's colors. Now at first I was thinking that the robot was going to have like some blue accents, but you know, mainly be a lighter gray. But then all of the blue accents were looking really weird. Like I tried having darker blue or lighter blues, but I don't know, just any level of visible blueness was looking wrong, so I just kind of made it shades of cool grays instead. Then I did a few layers of shading on the robot to try and add a lot of depth to it, since, you know, I was trying to make it look kind of 3D. At first I just worked on shading the parts that were really obviously different planes, like the head and the body, since they're fairly rectangular, are really easy to figure out how to shade. Then I went in with shading on the more circular parts, because that was gonna be more difficult and involve blending. And if you watch my videos, you know how I hate to blend on Ibis paint. It never works out right. It doesn't blend good. But in the end, for all the things that weren't blended well, I just turned the opacity down more so it wasn't as noticeable. And the shading turned out fine. And then I added in just some shine on the super metallic bits to kind of show that, you know, they were metallic. And then on the top of the antenna, I made those bits glow. And then after I'd done all this shading and all that, I realized that like none of the shading or the shine and all that matched up with the light source present in the drawing. Because I think originally I kind of shaded to the left of everything, so I guess it was to the right at first, but then I actually added in a separate light source. I should have thought about more beforehand. Now the robot's shading and all that is not at all connected to the light source. Then I, made the background visible again so I could look at the whole drawing, and I don't know, it was looking empty. There's still a lot I felt that I was missing. So I first added in a little vignette to make it like more sad and have more dimension and to bring out the lighting more. Then I started changing the background, and this time I actually made it with the intention of the antenna being the light source. So all the highlights are, like brim lighting almost from the antenna. And then I also had to worry about shading the little metallic slits in the locker, because in real life, lockers have those little slits and they pop out. They're 3D. It's not just cut into the locker. So I had to try and do that, which meant I had to do blending, and I hate blending. I hate backgrounds. No, I hate shading. That's what I hate. I hate shading, and I hate blending. I hate Ibis Paint. I love you, Ibis Paint. So it was still kind of looking empty though. Like, compared to a lot of my other drawings I've done, I don't know, they felt like there's something missing. Like, okay, we have a character and we have a background, but there's not much happening. I mean, it's not even that there's not much happening, it just felt a bit empty. Because I've drawn plenty of drawings where not much is going on, but it feels finished. So I spent a while trying to figure out little ways that I could make it feel more finished. So the first thing I did was put some little tally marks on the side of the robot. Okay, I don't know. I think when I put the tally marks, for some reason I was thinking that this went up the first week of September. The tally marks were intended to be like days of school that passed by, right? And then I put 8. If you have only been in school for 8 days, then what is wrong with your school? At least if you're in an American school and it just started 8 days ago. If you're not from America, that makes sense. But like, I myself have been in school for like 4 weeks at this point or something. So I don't know where on earth I got the idea that 8 days of school would have passed for most people by the time this went up. But okay, apparently 8 days of school have passed. Then I also decide, what if I put in the eyes some letters and numbers that are like a countdown. So I put 52 days. And so when I was first, preparing to record this video, I was going through and looking at the drawing and I'm like, what the heck happens in 52 days? I've gone to the calendar multiple times and like counted 52 school days away from like multiple events. I tried from when I first made the drawing to like the first day of school to 8 days after school had started to when this video should go up, and I could not figure out for the life of me what was in 52 days. But finally today I was checking what could be in 52 days. I finally figured out that I think I was talking about winter break. So I guess that's in like 52-ish days. Close enough. So there's a countdown to winter break in the robot's eyes as well. And I think that does look nicer. I like the pop of color in the eyes. And I also made those glow a little bit. It still fits a bit empty, and a lot of the blending isn't great, but that's what happens with this paint. But I don't hate it. It's here, it exists. It's not the best month drawing, but I do think it's like good art technically. Like, compare this to a lot of my drawings from when I first started doing YouTube, and like, I could have never imagined I would draw this. I don't know, just something I was thinking about. Also, I only noticed this after it was too late, but there is a random dot of color that I accidentally made on one of the lockers when I was writing the 52 days in the eyes. So that's also really annoying. Like, I love it to find those tiny little things after it's too late to fix. Maybe I can fix it for Instagram if I'm not lazy at least. Anyway, if you like this video, please subscribe and leave a like. Also, comment down below your feelings about school starting again. Do you feel like a robot? Because apparently I do. Also, all my social media are in the description below, so if you want to see more of me outside of YouTube, go follow all of those. And I will see you all next week.